They see me ronin, I'm eating, but soon I'm the one who's there and steals their jerky. Hey folks, MasakoX here. I think it's safe to say that you would want to see a lot of characters benefit from the chance to train like Goku. I mean, after all, Goku is the strongest character in the series, arguably. It would be safe to say that he is still not a bad person to model your training off of. It did get results in many different ways. So, today, I wish to head back to a What If series that was made quite impulsively when I first made it, but yet, it's actually been on my mind for some time, and this concerns the likes of Yajirobe. To some, he may seem like not really an important character, like the token rotund one who makes references to foods, shirks responsibility, and ultimately squanders their chance to be a Dragon Team member for the sake of a more cushy lifestyle at the first opportunity. But what if that didn't happen? What if Goku, like he so often does with people, manages to rub off on him and he gets the bug to start training? And this isn't a far-fetched idea either. Yajirobe's power in Dragon Ball and in early Z was a lot higher than you might think. After all, with very little training at all, certainly not applying himself as much as the other members, Yajirobe's power level was still the same as Gohan's, roughly, after a year's worth of training, about 970 to Gohan's 1000. I mean, come on, it makes more sense than the Ox King having a power level of 900. It goes to show, though, that the Ronin had potential to be quite good, had he chosen to participate properly and more willingly with the likes of Ten Shinhan, Yamcha, and Krillin, and even Chaozu. He could have been handy when fighting the Cybermen, and perhaps either Chaozu or Ten Shinhan might have actually survived a little longer, or not succumbed at all to their situations. In the last part, we covered the initial meeting with Goku that Yajirobe had back in the original Dragon Ball, but instead of him disregarding Goku and the like, he took more of a liking to the little guy. Also, he liked the thought of shooting energy blasts from your hands, I mean, who wouldn't, and being able to control power in various ways. Goku, like he does, opened the door to new possibilities and thusly gave the samurai the chance to think about fighting a little more differently this time around. To him now, it looked kinda cool. With his motivation changed to be far more selfless and wanting to help Goku out of kind this time, the character undergoes changes which are far more pronounced than the original, but it still remains true to Yajirobe. He is still a bit of a cantankerous old antisocial geezer. We resume the story with Yajirobe taking some time out after the battle with King Piccolo had come to an end. He had found a little diner on Papaya Island, that's the venue of the tournament, and was taking stock with what he was about to face. He was getting the chance to spend some time training with Kami, the Guardian of Earth, the guy who had made Goku so strong, and take down the son of King Piccolo before he could enact his revenge. That's a big deal. And seeing all of that happen, and most importantly, get the old green geezer to admit that he was wrong, that was something that filled Yajirobe as much as his next meal would. And that's to say a lot. Kami had returned to the lookout, keeping an eye on the Ronin from afar, and taking stock of what he was going to be dealing with. Oh dear, I better get Mr. Popo to prepare more food. I fear that his appetite may be as mighty as young Goku's. Yajirobe hadn't really said goodbye to Goku prior to his meal. He wasn't really good at that. After everything had been cleaned up and Goku had the chance to heal up a little more, he had been invited to their upcoming wedding, Goku and Chi-Chi's, but the samurai decided to decline. He stated that,
"Oh, that kind of lovey-dovey stuff, that's not really my thing."
Instead, he bade the young warrior goodbye and vowed to spar with him once again in the future when he was done with Kami's training. Naturally, Goku looked forward to it, he himself being quite sad that the two never got to meet in the contest proper. He was looking forward to that. "I'll be ready, friend. Good luck with Kami."
"You can keep your dumb luck. I don't need it. This is destiny."
And this is something that Yajirobe held with considerable pride. Having grown friendly with Korin over this time, Yajirobe spent his days prior to venturing up to Kami's getting as much information about him as possible. Having outpowered Korin, the cat not really seeing much point training him more, mainly saw Yajirobe as an assistant and friend, and now live-in chum, to help tend the senzu beans he had been cultivating. The Ronin did enjoy this pastime. It was quite satisfying in a way, and he didn't have to talk to that many people. I mean, Korin didn't really count because he was a cat. It was also convenient to cure his itch for food when he couldn't be bothered to venture down to Earth and go to the grocery store. Maybe one day he might consider growing these things down on the planet, maybe making a zenny or two. But that was for retirement. This was the here and now though. He decided to keep that good. Korin would talk to Yajirobe about his upcoming training, and remind him that this wasn't just about fighting and the like.
You gotta remember, pal, Kami's a bit of a bookworm. He will expect you to remember facts and figures, as well as doing plenty of meditation and self-reflection. Only then will you really excel as a fighter and get what you want in beating Goku. That's no sweat, cat. If Goku can do it, then so can I. When I feel like it, I got plenty of patience. Well, alright, if you think you're ready, head on up.
With Goku's power pole to hand, something his friend had lent him for this kind of training, thinking that he wouldn't need it at the moment during peacetime, Yajirobe climbed up to the lookout and prepared himself. During his time on the lookout, Yajirobe learnt many things. He had realised that Korin was right. There was a lot of sitting around to be had, and reading books, as well as inner peace mumbo jumbo. Kami had anticipated that this fellow might be a little cantankerous, but he had no idea that this guy would be so grumpy so often. The Ronin would complain. A lot. He would complain about exercising too much, he would complain if the food wasn't good enough, he would complain if he wasn't making enough progress in so much time. Everything was tinged with moaning and bleating from this particular person. It never got Kami to the point of giving up or lashing out or anything like that. He had been around too long and seen too many things and people to have it get under his skin that much, but it was enough to notice. He noticed that this would be a problem if it wasn't addressed and nipped in the bud. If Yajirobe was going to be here for as long as Goku was, it would be a very long time indeed.
Yajirobe, may we talk? Yeah, old man, what about? What did I do wrong this time?
Nothing, Kami said exasperately, the Ronin getting the wrong end of the stick. Again.
May I ask you something? I don't know. It depends. What do you want to know?
Can you tell me, what is the source of all this aggression and asocialness you possess? Yajirobe would normally round on people who asked that kind of a question, but Kami's tone wasn't that of annoyance or getting at him. He genuinely wanted to know. And besides, it's not like this guy was known to be a gossiper or anything. He told Kami that it was mainly down to him being a sort of hermit.
Well, I spent years wandering around the world and avoiding people wherever I could. In my opinion, people suck. Or at least they did before I met Goku. Yeah, he wasn't so bad, I guess.
Kami nods. Yes, indeed. Goku does have that effect on people. Continue. Yajirobe nods too.
Yeah, he's alright. Not only that, but I suppose that I just, rested on my power for the longest time. My training as a Ronin with this thing, he gestures to his nearby katana, meant that nobody would come near me. Or if they did, they would meet a sticky end. I felt so strong that I felt no need to improve since nobody could test me. That is,
before you met Goku, asked Kami, and Yajirobe laughed.
Yeah, got it in one. Listen, old man, I don't take well to criticism, nor do I go easy with authority figures, even if they are my teachers. That's why I left my original training in the first place. I got fed up being lectured around all the time when I knew I could have wailed on all of my classmates in 2 seconds flat. I wanted to get out there and test my strength, not sit around for decades doing nothing. Nah, man, nothing doing.
Kami nods, having sat down on the steps to the central lookout building next to Yajirobe.
I understand. That's good to know. Goku, in all honesty, was also not one for books, and I think we can make this work. But just remember this, Yajirobe. You've already proven yourself to be strong, but never think that your latest battle will be your last. The galaxy is home to many devious foes that may be far stronger than we could possibly imagine, perhaps even stronger than King Piccolo. Hopefully we never have to cross paths with any of that, but you never know. You need to be ready, friend. We all need to be ready. just in case.
Yajirobe followed Kami's eyes up to the sky, stars starting to twinkle and appear in the dwindling twilight sky.
Huh, I never thought about it that way. Space is weird, man. It's like those movies or something. Kami chuckles. I am aware of humans and their movies, and I can assure you, things will be most likely not as clear-cut as those stories. That is why I must ask you to put your stubbornness aside for now, and instead focus on being one of Earth's strongest defenders. It's not just about settling a score with Goku, but you can still have him as a yardstick. That is still okay. I'm certain that he won't be sitting pretty on his glory. He too will get stronger down there.
Yajirobe waves his hand at Kami.
Alright, old man, you made your point. We'll get to more of this tomorrow.
Kami smiles. Good. Glad we could understand one another. And with that, their training took on a much more agreeable path. The years rolled on, and Yajirobe's training with Kami progressed from strength to strength. One day, he decided to take some time in the room of spirit and time, like Goku did as a kid, and he actually saw out a whole year inside of it. To him, this solitude was paradise. As soon as the door shut behind him, Kami assumed that, he'd be done in a couple of hours, he wouldn't be able to cope. But a whole Earth day passed, and he had to remind Yajirobe that his time was up. In that room, Yajirobe was alone. Good. He liked it that way. He had enough food, a nice bed, and plenty of space to train on his terms. He had gotten plenty of lessons to work on from Kami beforehand, but he could take his time here. This solitude to him was so valuable. He didn't have to forage for food, nor did he have to talk to anyone other than himself. This year spent inside the time chamber was most possibly the best thing that could have happened to him. When he did emerge, his power had grown considerably. From his pre-chamber level of about 270, he had grown to a power of 600. Even Kami wasn't expecting that. Now, before you get your Masako's ready, hear me out here. Yajirobe thrives on being alone. He is a classic hermit. The rigors of the time chamber would have been to him water off of a duck's back. And not only that, but he's got motivation, and lots of it. He is also really stubborn. He's been told he could be Earth's mightiest defender. I mean, already that sounds pretty cool. But he could also beat Goku with his own power. These two motivations alone were enough to get him to focus and do the thing. And besides, under Kami's training in the Saiyan saga, Yajirobe went from 150 to 970 in a year without really trying that much. So it's not all that ludicrous when you think about it. 600 here is actually kind of modest, but we'll go from that, just to be on the safe side. Kami was amazed with this ki he felt.
Goodness, I never realized you liked being on your own that much.
Yajirobe, whose clothes were a little worse for wear, nodded.
Yep, that was the best year I've had in ages. Not had to cater to anyone else's needs or wants. I could do what I damn well pleased. Yeah, also, the food was actually pretty good. Thank Mr. Popo when you see him next.
Kami laughed. He was still food-driven, I see, after all this time. With a very scratchy beard and in desperate need of a shower, Yajirobe washed himself up before taking a break and reflecting on his time in the chamber. He would cherish that year for a long time. But what now? I mean, yeah, he could skip town, go off to wander about the world some more like he did with the Ronin. He could train with Kami a little bit more, I guess, but having been buoyed by his increase in strength, he felt the time was right to go and fight Goku now.
Yo, Pops, I'm gonna go and spend some time down on Earth for a while. Okay?
Kami thought about this for a moment, not really sure whether he should let him, but would it be wise? But having said all of this prodigious power he saw before him, this increase, did mean that now Yajirobe was stronger than Kami. In fact, stronger than anyone on this world. Apart from the Ox King. In theory, there was nothing he could really teach Yajirobe anymore, but he wasn't sure whether that would be wise to tell him. Giving him that kind of a compliment might stunt his development. He decided to keep his cards close to his chest and simply nod.
Very well, but try not to get into too much trouble. I won't.
With that, he headed down to Earth and headed straight for Mount Paozu. When he got to Goku's place, he stumbled upon a surprising scene. For starters, the old hut was still there, that Goku used, but it had actually been added to, with an extra abode not too far off of it. That was weird. He knocked on the door and was greeted by a Goku carrying a toddler in his arms. The warrior was expecting Yajirobe.
Yo! I had a feeling it was you. I could sense your energy miles off. You've gotten way stronger.
Yajirobe, though, was fixated on the kid.
You got a kid, Goku? When did that happen?
Oh, lots of stuff's happened since we last met. I got married, we moved into this new place, and we had Gohan here. Say hello, Gohan.
Gohan mutely waved at Yajirobe before hiding in his father's chest. Yajirobe's face didn't exactly make for a happy sight. Still, though, the Ronin was stunned despite the explanation.
So, you and Chi-Chi still together?
He tilted his head, though, and caught a smell of something good cooking in the kitchen. Clearly they were. He saw a woman. He looked very much like Chi-Chi, only with her hair tied up in a bun this time, instead of down like he remembered.
Nice catch.
You have a girlfriend too, Yajirobe?
Asked Goku. The Ronin was unmoved.
Nah, far too much hassle. And besides, I've been up in commies for 3 years. Not exactly the place to be scouting for girls. Anyway, I've come to fight you, Goku. Right after lunch.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm down to having a spar with you. Hey, Chi-Chi, room for one more? Yajirobe's here.
Chi-Chi sighed. She thought that she had gotten her husband away from those ruffians, but she relented. She couldn't just leave a friend out there in the cold. Over lunch, Yajirobe and Goku caught up with one another, and the former explained his training, including that year spent in the Room of Spirit and Time. Goku was very impressed, having been barely able to cope for just a couple of months in there.
Yeah, all those years of being a loner before I met you paid off.
Normally, Yajirobe wouldn't be this talkative, but the food was so good, and his goal so obvious in front of him, he was willing to be sociable for these couple of hours with these guys, and that's saying something. When the plates had been cleared and the food allowed to settle in their stomachs, the two warriors decided to take up their stances outside. Yajirobe took careful aim, and then launched his attacks. Goku felt that his friend had gotten stronger, but he was not prepared for how strong he had gotten. In every instance, Yajirobe was outmatching Goku. He was faster, stronger, and tougher against Goku's blows. He was already pretty speedy despite his size, giving a misconception, but now he actually applied himself. He was now the one with the advantage. Chi-Chi came outside, expecting to see her husband outclassing his opponent, only to see Goku struggling. She was surprised to see this.
Goku, are you okay?
Goku was panting, but he gave the thumbs up.
Yup, never better. I've never met a challenge like this before. I'm really excited.
That's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? Will Yajirobe win ultimately? Or will Goku have the win with his extra martial arts experience? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!